Here we are, man.
Yeah.
Back like we never left.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good to be back. Good to be in the space. Yeah, temperature check, man.
Yes.
What's cracking? How you doing? How you feeling in the here and now?
Well, my brother, it's very much that thing of session 2. Session 2. Just keeping it real and just saying that, so proud of both of us.
Yeah.
For the first one in the can. As we mentioned, perhaps not much for the editor to do.
Yeah.
Because, he might be cutting out some gems. Some nuggets there.
Come on.
So
Come on.
I'm feeling...
Some mini Kievs. Gotta get mini Kievs in.
Yeah, homemade ones.
Kievs, You dropped the medallion. You said the medallions, the marinating. So I know it's not Iceland thing. I know.
For real.
Yeah.
So I'm feeling hopeful. I'm feeling that the listeners, our viewers, they're going to get an opportunity to hear from you, hear from you today, and share a little bit of your background, but not too much. We don't want to give too much away, because we want to keep them coming back.
Yeah.
Keep them coming back. So I feel positive.
Good.
Positive today.
Good, man. If I do a temperature check, actually, like in terms of heat, I feel it's extremely humid in there today.
Yeah.
But in myself, I'm feeling at peace.
Okay.
I'm feeling at peace. And I think, as you say, part 2, the follow-up.
Yeah.
I've reloaded.
Yeah.
As Al Pacino says. So I think, just thinking about what we're going to be talking about today, I know it's a fundamental, I'd say, conversation, and us just looking at the importance of therapy.
Yes.
Why is therapy important? Some people fully understand why it's important. Some people don't understand why it's important. Some people are maybe thinking about, starting a therapeutic journey.
Yes.
Some maybe are finishing a therapeutic journey, whether that's as a client, whether that's, studying, whether that's, in whatever context. But, it's so important to be able to talk, and who you're talking to, is the next level, the extension of why therapy is important. So definitely looking forward to unpacking that a little bit.
Okay. Yeah. So you mentioned the therapy, and I guess for our listeners, they got a flavor, they got an understanding of perhaps where I'm coming from and how I came into this field. Could you tell me how you came into the therapy world?
God, that's a great question, man. It's funny, when you said where I'm coming from, my mind automatically went to Anthony Hamilton.
Okay.
Powerful, he's got a song, I think it's Where I'm From.
Yeah.
So I think in terms of how I guess became a counsellor and how that journey started, I think I have to travel back. I have to moonwalk. I have to moonwalk back to 2006. So I just made a transition, and at that point was like, what do I do with my life? What am I going to do? What is the next journey? And I come from a household, like my mum's always been a helper, so she's the woman in the community that everybody knows. If there's a need, whether it's someone on the street, she's either gonna, buy them some food, or bring them some food. If there's a family member or whoever it is, my mum's always been that person. So I think, like when I look back, even beyond 2005, just that helpers, being that solution, being that helper, I think comes from my mum.
Okay.
But yeah, I guess 2006 made this transition. I'm volunteering for a youth organisation. I was there for about 18 months. And at that time, I was, I guess, like a mentor, key worker, working with 11 to 25-year-olds. No experience, so like, you know, so I'm starting fresh. So as I'm working with the young people, I'm learning on the job as well. And I think, you know, from being in the youth sector, you know, so I worked in the sector for about 15, 16 years. Whatever organisation I was at, to whether that was, so I've worked for a number of leading charities, as maybe an outreach work. I've worked in hospitals, done some work in prisons, you know, worked in schools, pupil referral units. Young people would always start off a sentence, or even adults, like my colleagues or my friends in my personal life, and family members and people I met. I've never told anyone this before. You are the first person.
Wow.
And I just found that theme following me wherever I went. And there were times when in a work setting, there were young people that I weren't overseeing, I weren't working directly with them, but at times they would tell their key worker that they would want to speak to me about this, I guess, personal matter. You know, so I guess I was putting something out, you know, unknowingly, you know, in the world that maybe maybe I was putting out, you know, empathy. I may be able to understand this person, or, you know, maybe I'm someone that you could trust, or maybe just this person's going to listen to me, or they may understand. So I think that was happening. So 2007, similar to yourself, I started the counselling skills course. 2000, yeah. So I did the level 1. I think it was like 6 weeks or 12 weeks. I can't remember. 10. And that was 2007. That was actually Lewisham College.
Okay.
And it was recommended that I go on to do the next 2 levels to qualify, you know, the higher diploma. And for whatever reasons, I just didn't continue, and then continued working, you know, these different organisations. But that same statement, I've never told anyone this before. And I'm like, do you know what? I need to take this counselling thing really serious. And it's funny, like, I'll moonwalk back even a little bit further. It must have been about 2003, 2004, yeah, about 2003. I was seeing this girl, you know, and I'm on the other side of the fence, so I'm, you know, as we talk about the cut, like, I'm out there. I'm deep in the cut, other side of the field, you know, and no real aspirations of, you know, doing things correctly. And she says, you know, you could be a counsellor.
Wow.
And that was like, what? Like, where did that come from? You know, like what was I exhibiting at that moment to make her say that I could be a counsellor? Because where I was in that time of my life, how I was thinking, how I was living, what I was doing was far from the therapeutic space. But I guess she obviously saw what I couldn't see, my blind spots. If we look at the Johari's window, that was my blind spot. But she could obviously see that. So I guess these moments of young people and, you know, people saying, you know what, I've never shared this. I was like, you know what, I've got to take this serious. So I did the level 2, then I did the level 3. Yeah. And then I went on and did, you know, the qualifying level. So it was about 4 years worth of studying. And I just felt like it's something that I had to do. It felt like a calling. It felt like it was tied up into purpose. Yeah. And I felt like, you know, you can run, right? I felt like I was running from it. You know, when I processed after, I was like, maybe I was running from it, or maybe I wasn't ready, but I do feel there was some resistance. Yeah. And I feel like when I surrendered, you know, there's a power in surrendering to the process, you know, surrendering. I'm going to stop running. I'm going to take stock of what's going on. Yeah. And I'm going to apply what I need to do to get to that next side of the river or the fence. So a bit of surrendering. Yeah. And studying to become a counsellor is one of the best things I could have ever done.
Wow, what a testament. Testament and testimony. My goodness. And, I just thinking of, the 2003, a reference, a friend, a girlfriend telling you, and you not seeing it. And then Johari window, that's our jump off point as we come into the field. We look at that Johari window and it's like what you see in me today, what I see in you today, and then we move to the blind spots. So take us through, say, if we stay with that theme of Johari, what did you see in yourself? What was hidden?
I think I've always been introspective. Always been said I've got an old soul. I think I hid, hid a lot of pain. Whoa. I hid a lot of pain, and there was a lot of deficit and a lot of anxiety and lack of self-belief, and the confidence was constantly wavering. So that led to a lot of overcompensating. So to overcompensate, so you can't see me, so I'll speak louder than you, or I'll do stuff to make you not really see who I was. But at the core, there was always this person that cared and that was quite empathic. But, depending on, based on where I was in my life, I can't let you see that. Because that's when that's prone. You allow yourself to become prone to being targeted, or signs of weaknesses, stuff that we've been taught that is totally backwards.
Exactly.
But so there was a lot of concealing. It's almost like wearing a mask and a cloak.
Mask and a cloak. So I also hear, because we talk a lot about what's unspoken. So the thing about, I can't allow anyone to see my vulnerability. I can't allow anyone to see who I truly am. And as a result, I'm going to show you this card. But there's a 3-card Monty, you know what I mean? So that you don't really see who I am. Because if you do, then you've pulled the cloak away. But then I also, when you talk about that, Claude, it's that thing about I draw reference to cloaks. And sometimes we wear many cloaks, and we know that even the word cloak is heavy. But if you have many cloaks on, how heavy is it? Or how heavy was it?
Heavy. And it's funny you say it, because you got a cloak and you got a cape. And capes are synonymous to superheroes, and they're much lighter. But the responsibility that comes with wearing a cape can be heavy as a cloak. So I think it's just that duality of living a double life. Before 2006, 2005, and it's do you know what, I'm doing X, Y, and Z, but not feeling actually satisfied, not feeling content. Or if I am, it's fleeting. It lasts for a moment. That high or that kick, whatever it is. And I remember me and a friend speaking once, and we were like, oh man, you can have a 10 grand bed, a $5 pillow, but you may not sleep in peace because of your lifestyle, and I think there was definitely an absence of peace and just being content with who I was. And there's something about in that answering that question, I think, who am I? That identity question, who am I? Why am I here? What am I meant to be doing? What is this thing life really about? Those big questions that we have to ask ourselves. Some ask earlier, some ask later, but I do think there is a moment in our lives, and if I speak from the I, as we always encourage, speak from the I had those questions around maybe 20, 24, 25. And they were fundamental into, where I am now.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So I hear that, and that's there's some real gems there you just shared there. Real gems. I like they from the cape to the cloak, and how that's and how heavy that is.
Yeah.
How heavy that is. So, I guess 2005, 2006, and coming to entering into that world of therapy, level 2, level 3, and then the 4, becoming qualified.
Yep.
Tell us, take us through that journey. Maybe the 2 years on the diploma, because you would have had to have a placement.
Yeah.
Have a placement, and it's very much about juggling, because a placement, personal therapy, supervision, the placement itself, clients, all of these different variables at work, but you're also having to look at yourself and apply those modalities, those modalities to self. How did you cope with that?
I love the big V that you just mentioned, variables.
Yes.
Because it's almost like I felt at times like not saying I'm an entertainer, but the entertainer in the circus, juggling these spinning plates.
Yes.
And it's not that I felt people were looking at me or like it was a laughing stock, but it was like I felt like that guy spinning all these variable plates. So I think, and it was almost like, prioritizing, how am I managing my time? And I think I'm quite effective at managing my time, but it was just like there was so much demand on my time. There was so much responsibilities that I had, and I had to be like really cutthroat and specific with how I was managing my time. So I think the qualifying years, the final 2 years, I think I went into it initially thinking it was about clients. I'm sure you see this on your level, your level 4 teaching, the people joining thinking it's about other people.
Yeah.
No, it's not about, it's about you.
Yes.
It's that concept that I refer to as mirrors and windows.
Yeah.
The window is you looking out at everyone. Oh yeah, I can. The mirror is, you having to look at yourself, man, in the mirror. So I think that was the initial, that was a culture shock. That was like, oh, wow. It's not about other people and helping other people. You got to start with you.
Yes.
And that was that was new, because I think as a helper, being in the helper sector, sometimes, I've seen people do it. I don't know if I've done it. Maybe I have, who knows, where you overcompensate to help everyone else, and in doing so, you negate and neglect yourself, right?
Yeah.
You help everyone with their action plans, but you don't have one for yourself. So I think me realizing I've got to do some work on myself. And then when I found out that attending, even the word attending, participate or taking or doing therapy myself, I was like, oh yeah, this is a course requirement. Yeah, okay, cool. No worries. I'm doing this because it's a course requirement.
Right, yes. And then I don't have anything to talk about?
I've got nothing to talk about. I'm just going to do it to tick the boxes and to qualify.
Right.
So maybe after 6 weeks, I realized, I've seen 6 weeks of my own personal therapy. I was like, oh my days, I need this. This is not a course necessity.
Yeah.
This is a Claude necessity.
Wow.
I need this. Realize, oh wow, I'm in childhood. We're talking about when I was 6. Walking down, the high street with mom, and we're talking about stuff at 20 and trauma and things I didn't even think that even mattered.
Yes.
And as we know, everything that's said is in that therapeutic space. There is a meaning. It's nothing is ever in vain. So I think learning that, wow, I need to do some internal work. That was profound and powerful, and an element of some self-discovery.
Yeah.
Some discovering the good, the bad, and the ugly. Okay, cool. These are some areas that I need to kind of work on. And there were moments you leave that session like, oh man, I'm not coming back next week, But you climb over that, and I went back. I climbed over that and went back. And so that the therapy side was tough. It was tough but helpful it hurt at times, but it was helpful. And in being helpful, produced some healing. You know, so yeah, we don't want to stay in a place of hurting. We want to be in a place of healing. And I think the juggling of the assignments. Yeah. You know, you got the assignments, then you're seeing your clinical supervisor. So I was at one of the mental health hospitals in London, and that's where I did my placement. And
wow.
With outpatients, and then I was with another service, carers, and working and providing therapy for carers, so adults who were caring for a loved one or relative that was unwell, and built some beautiful therapeutic relationships with the clients, as a trainee. So there's that, you're a trainee, like what can you do?
Right.
You look younger than you actually are, then being like maybe a black male, and there was just so many different like layers that I think that we worked through, and being able to name some of them in the sessions with the clients was powerful. And I think in terms of like race being the only ethnicity being the only black person on the course, that was initially, I would say, what would I say? Going from a course where I was before, where it was quite diverse, and then going to and being the only black person on the course, and I had to, ensure that I'm not the spokesperson for everything that's black related, and not feeling like I have to carry the burdens of the community on my shoulders to represent, and so I think initially I had to kind of work through that, and I think, as much as I was a student on the course, I think there were times when I was a teacher, being able to educate some of my peers on culture and life, and unpacking and some of these myths that may be there. So it was I just became a father at the time. Wow. I'd recently moved homes, was working full-time as a manager, managing a nationally recognized mentoring service. So there's a lot going on. Yeah, there was lots going on. And sometimes it felt like a whirlwind,
Whirlwind.
Yeah.
Let's pause there, because I want to take you back to what you said earlier about people saying to you, I haven't told anybody else this. I've never told anybody else this before. Can you tell us when you were sitting in the counseling room as a trainee and the realization came to you that someone was saying that very same thing to you in that setting?
Yeah, I can. There was this client, and I'm being mindful.
Yes, of course.
Confidentiality, but there was a client who had shared something, and I remember he expressed, or they expressed some initial concerns about me being a trainee, and there being a moment that they felt I got them, and they were able to identify it was, like, let's say hypothetically session 5. This guy, regardless of being a trainee, he understands me. And that enabled them the following week to share something that they felt I would be able to process with them. So it was almost like they were kind of working out, can I share this? I've not really shared this before with anyone.
Can they hold it?
Can I hold it? Is this person qualified to handle my vulnerable moments? Not qualification, when I say qualification, but can they handle? And I felt like he was testing me, and we spoke about that, And that was a powerful moment. And we went on to, do some great creative art therapy together.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sounds powerful, man.
Yeah, as I'm talking about, I'm back there. I'm back in that room with that, with that client. It was I think there are people that you meet that you'll always have a part of them. So there's almost that mutual exchange, like,
Yeah.
you know. And I think there was stuff that they would have taken away, and I think no matter how old, I'll always remember that individual.
But that's the thing, you know. I believe that, you know, when you do have that, you know, that working alliance, that therapeutic alliance with a client, that that you know that you've met them where they are, and you truly, you know, that relationship is the therapy thing has come through to fruition. You feel it, you sense it, and your clients stay with you. I mean, you know, one of my first few clients, you know, the gentleman that, I mean, we worked together for over a year, and I still remember.
Yeah.
Still remember some of the things, you know, the pain, you know, sharing, you know, episodes of pain, joy, anger with one another. You know, him being angry with me and me being, you know, that angry with him, you know, that counter-transference just coming to the fore, you know. But yeah, I mean, you know, what you just shared there, it's, wow.
Yeah.
I was just curious. I was, you know, as therapists, we're always curious.
Yeah.
Just, you know, not necessarily my own agenda here, but I'm allowed that.
Yeah. Columbo.
Yeah.
He's always. I think as we have to be like Columbo, man.
Yeah.
Just one more question. Like, So no,
I was, you know, because you mentioned that, you know, it's because that was for me when you shared that, Claude, was that was your gifting, but you didn't have, you know, you said the blind spot. You didn't have a clue. You didn't understand that people were trusting you even then, before you even thought about a qualification.
Yeah.
You know, and now you picked up the chalice. You picked it up. And you ran with it, and look at you sitting here today, and us rapping, you know, about therapy as a black man. And so, I know you were conscious, you were cognizant of the fact that you're in this training arena. You're the only black male present, and you didn't want to be that person who was seen as the expert on all things black. You know, could you say, I mean, you shared a little insight into it. Could you share more? How did that make you feel being in there?
So I had to process and work out when it's appropriate to share. Like, when do I need to share something that's going to be a teachable moment? So I'm just not going to be in that space just talking for no reason. So it was almost like really being strategic. Discerning, you know, reading the room.
Yeah, okay.
When is appropriate, you know. So it was very much at play. So it's very, I call it the holding basket. So it's there, but it's not going to dictate. You know, it's not going to dictate my interaction with others. So I think there was a powerful moment. We're reading a book. I believe it's Arnold Mundell.
Okay.
Or Arnold Mundell, and it's called Sitting in the Fire. And it's looking at conflict and how he would work with conflict, whether that's, you know, the Bloods and Crips or the UN or, you know, tenants of a housing association, and working through the view of difference. Because sometimes where there is difference, that can breed misunderstanding, and misunderstanding then can breed conflict, and then conflict can breed, you know, explosions. But difference doesn't always have to do that. And I think we were looking at we were doing an exercise where it's called like the fishbowl exercise.
Yeah.
I see your eyes light up. So doing a fishbowl exercise, and literally what this is for, you know, listeners' purposes, is like you have 4 people on one side who are going to be the counsellors, and on the other side you have 4 observers. So everybody's on the call studying the calls. So you have the 4 observers who are making notes on what the other 4 counsellors are doing. And each counsellor gets 10 minutes to work with the client, which was me. I was like, you know what, I'm going to step out my comfort zone today. and I as the client, I present something, and then everyone gets 10 minutes to work through what I've presented. So the tutor's there as well, you know, observing. And I was just like, look, you know, I'm the only black person on the course, and it feels a bit weird at times, and I feel a bit disconnected. Bombshell. Like when I say bombshell, 'cause we're talking about diversity, you know, we got our PowerPoint slides, you know, but I've just dropped it in real time, and you could tell and could feel the I don't know what to do, you know, and this is no reflection of my peers, you know, we're beautiful, you know, we're still in contact, built some really beautiful relationships and friendships.
Yeah.
But it was like, this is what I feel like in the here and now. So I feel disconnected. The area that the course is in, when I go into the cafe, just before to have my little lunch, before I step into the course, I walk in, it's almost like the foreigners stepped in. Everyone, all eyes on, you know, all eyes on me. So already, even before I've gone into the course, like, you know, for that day, I'm already working through that difference and feeling like an outsider. And that's a feeling that's not unnormal.
Right.
You know, it's a feeling that I have felt, you know, living where we've, you know, lived and worked through, you know, racism and growing up against the backdrop of, you know, NF and, you know, BNP and Margaret Thatcher and Millwall hooligans and all these, you know. So I'm aware of that backdrop. So I name it, and at the end, you know, everyone has their 10 minutes. And do you know what was so powerful, Carl? It was at the beginning of that exercise, I felt disconnected from people on the course. At the end, I felt so connected. And I tell you why.
Go ahead.
Because I felt I connected with what was going on with me first. I'm going to say that again. I connected and named and labelled and owned how I felt. So with connecting what was going on for me, I was then able to connect with the others.
Sounds, hey, just you know, just this session today, Claude, is so powerful because I can connect with that. And just you saying it because you connected with yourself.
Yeah.
And I would say that, you know, you talk about teachable moments. Those present would have been able to learn something from, you know, how courageous, you know, you were in that moment as well as calling it out.
Yeah.
Because I will tell you that I know for certain that there are institutions, you know, that you know have these that deliver these counseling courses, and it's not really examined, you know, that difference. It's not really examined to the level, because when a black man or a black woman does go into that counseling room and they're sitting across from a white therapist, you know, sometimes they, you know, as you say, the replication of being in different settings and it feeling the same because they haven't been seen. But you know, it's and the thing is, you're talking about, you know, what you haven't said for me is you've really examined yourself by saying, okay, I'm going to trust the process.
Yeah.
I'm going to trust the process, and because I need to get what I need to get from this process. Yeah, I need to get what I need. You know, the other jokers there, maybe some got it, maybe some didn't. Yeah, because, you know, I know for certain that what you did that day would have impacted on their practice moving forward. And it would have definitely impacted on your practice, because it's about that thing of really stepping out and challenging the other, because it's important, I think, for our listeners to understand as well that it's good to challenge the therapist.
100%.
100%. To challenge the therapist, and for the therapist to challenge the client.
100%.
That is what it's all about.
100%. Yeah. And I think that was like a timestamp moment on the course. Right. Where we always went back, like, that was a milestone moment where that was a teachable moment on diversity in real time. That wasn't on a PowerPoint slide. It's life happening right now, and the rapport that I was able to build with the guys on the course post that was so powerful. So I think I navigated being the only black person on the course. There were moments it felt lonely because you're the only person, but beyond that, I built some fantastic, fruitful relationships.
That's great.
And it was just great to be able to be that to be that person, knowing where I've come from, to not let that hinder me. And look, I'm here. I deserve to be here. I've earned it. And when we got to celebrate, cap and gown.
Wow.
The school dropout that made it to the graduation. And my mum's in the crowd. My son and my wife are there.
Wow.
Powerful. It was just like I felt like that moment wasn't just for me. My son saw that my stuff that my mum would have heard about me in the past, and just us being able to celebrate, that wonderful moment, man.
Yeah.
It was profound.
It's an achievement.
Yeah,
It's such an achievement because I when I think about the metamorphosis that takes place, we think about that beginning, that day one, year one. You go in and then navigating those 2 years, as you say, with all of those plates that you have to be a musician to be able to do what you do, especially working full time. Some of the listeners down, as you said earlier, if you're about to embark on it, it's not for the faint-hearted.
Yeah.
You really have to be resilient. You must be resilient because it will challenge you. It would challenge you in ways that you've never been challenged before.
Yeah.
And once you, as you say, cap and gown, and people there are witnessing, and it's such an achievement. Man. And I just have to affirm you for because I know there probably would have been moments you say, man.
Oh, man, what am I doing? Why am I doing this to myself?
Yeah, exactly.
The final assignment, like, you're just like, oh, man, I got to... let me just hang up. Let me give this up. And it was really important about your circle.
Yeah.
So I think your circle at all times, I guess, but it's really important that you got a circle that can challenge, a circle that can champion you, and a circle that can be like, oh, look, man, you've got this. You've got this. Okay, all of this is going on, but let's strip it back.
Yeah.
And there were moments when a few of my peers were like, "No, don't give up.
Yeah,
you got this.
like that.
You're not doing this for you." And I remember there was a moment when, someone said, "You need to think of your son. This one's not for you."
Yeah.
And that was just to get me over the final hurdle. When so that was a beautiful experience, man.
Yeah, but that's the theme, though, because it's not for us, is it?
Yeah.
The people that we see, that process that we went through. Yes, it's for our children, for our kids, for our loved ones, but also knowing that the people, because I can say now, thousands upon thousands of counseling hours.
Come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
and and knowing that I've been able to help facilitate change in the other. And I'm sure that tell us about that. Tell us about that feeling of being able to facilitate change in the other.
It's quite undescribable. It's to be allowed to be a part of that person's journey, the elements of being trusted, the elements of someone letting you in, a stranger. You think about relationships that people have had, whether they've, broken down, whether they've failed, whether, they may have been good, but just we know that building relationships comes at a cost, right? There's a sacrifice. There's a stepping out. There's a element of revealing, over concealing. So to be a part of that and to be allowed, to be a part of that person's process, it's an absolute privilege. That you trust me, that you're gonna you're allowing me to embark on this journey with you. And I don't take that lightly. The client work that I've done, I just think just when you get to those final sessions and you're ending and you're seeing the individuals, transform from where they were at the first session to the last session, whatever that transformation is, or whether it's something small, or whether it's an outlook, or whether it's goals that have been met, whatever that transition is for that person. But to know that you played a part in that is powerful. It's powerful. I can't find the words to describe it, but I can explain it. It just feels it's a powerful process.
I hear that. I hear that. As you were saying that, I reflected back on a card or two that I received. From a client, and it is indescribable. That thing of, wow, they were in a low place, they were in a dark place, they were in a place that they didn't think that they could get through. But you were there right alongside. And I think it's something about, that our understanding, that learning that we undertook, that it's not so much about being behind them or in front of them, because if we're in front of them, we're not helping, but being right alongside them and just having that empathic understanding, those empathic responses to help them along that way is, it's immeasurable.
Commuting with your client. I think some journeys are best traveled together. And I think you hit the nail on the head. Like when you're walking with, not for or ahead of, as you say, it's powerful, man. And I think that kind of leads us on to, the why therapy is important.
Yes.
Because life can be really challenging.
Yes.
The minute you enter this world, depending on the environment that you've inherited, from whether it's from parents, whether it's from guardians, where you start your journey just as a child can have a massive impact, and then life happens, right? So I guess unpacking that a bit, from your perspective, why would you say therapy is important?
Because as you rightly say, born into this world, you didn't have a choice. And whether you had the silver spoon or whether you were in the depths of depravity, and therein, in between, how you experienced it. I think in the first session you talked about, how we respond to these things. And I think it's in our response is sometimes where that pain emanates from. And that is why I believe that, this has been said and it's tongue in cheek, but I think that everyone could do with a little bit of therapy. Because it gives you perspective. It gives you an opportunity, because if you're going 100 miles an hour each and every day, when do you stop and reflect on what's going on internally? Or even if you sit in front of the box all day, you sit in front of that TV all day. There's, they say it is research that shows that it kills brain cells because you're not questioning and thinking about what's going on for you. So I think it's very important, and I would encourage our listeners, if you haven't had that opportunity, or if you feel that, if you even feel nothing's wrong with me, check it out for yourself, because you would be so surprised by the things that you don't think you need to talk to. Those are the very things that you need to talk about. Absolutely.
That's powerful. And I think there's something in it's that mental exercise, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's important to reveal, you know.
Yes.
And sometimes your life doesn't have to be in a place of despair
Yes.
or things not going great. Like
Yeah, that's right.
that's not, you know, that's not what it's always about.
That's
it's
right.
about where are you at in the here and now. You know, things might be going well, so you can speak about that.
Yes.
You know, like whatever well is for you
Yeah.
in your frame of reference. But I think it's really important to have a space and a place in your life where it's about you, and you're able to speak about what is important to you, and able to speak about your thoughts and feelings in a safe space with someone who's gonna help you unpack and process, you know, maybe some of the stuff from childhood or some of the things that are happening in the present.
Yeah.
But I think it's about allowing yourself to be emotionally and mentally healthy.
Yes. Yeah,
You know,
yeah. Well said. Well said.
Because we're mind, body, and spirit, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, and we know that they all intertwine. So it's fundamental that, you know, we speak about what's going on for us.
Yeah.
Because sometimes what we're talking about is connected to those three areas.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, so I would say, you know, we are not telling people what to do, but we would encourage. I would dare to say, it is important to find a space and a place where you're able to speak to someone, and it doesn't have to be when things are going wrong. Yeah.
Yeah. I like that. I like that, Claude. That is, it's simply stated, but there's a lot of depth and meaning to what you said, and also oftentimes, you know, getting to that place where if you don't think you need help, it's asking for help, and sometimes that's the hardest part. Is asking for help, especially if it's not in your makeup, because of the pain that you have been on the receiving end of. But yeah, I think what you shared there is real gems, and I think as we come to a close, just want to affirm you and thank you, you know, for sharing your journey, you know, from 03 to 06 to qualification.
Yeah.
Qualification. You know, that you know what I like to say, becoming that reflective practitioner. Yeah. That is able to facilitate therapeutic change in the other. So thank you so much. And for our listeners, this is session 2.
Session 2, man.
Yeah, and more to follow. So I hope that you tune in and listen and you know, perhaps jot down a thing or two of what is shared, because it's important to process, as we like to say.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And what would you say you're leaving with?
What am I leaving with? I'm leaving with more insight into you know, how you came into the field, and what's on your heart. You know, because that same thing that you shared about, you know, again, similarities. Even though, you know, 3,400 miles away from each other, it's very much about that thing of the similarities. And I was told that, you know, that you should become a counselor, or I've never told anybody this. I never told, but I'm sharing it with you, Carl.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So such a sense of, you know, responsibility and it being given over, but you know, that connection. So leaving with a connection, more of a connection with you today, my brother. Yeah.
I think I'm leaving with just how important this space is. You know, again, I think I said when I started the counselling, you know, the qualification stage, it's like, it's for everyone. And even this space, like thinking, you know, for listeners, but it's for us, it's for me.
Yes.
This was really cathartic and helpful for the soul, man. So
Yeah.
Great just to connect again, man. And as I connect more with myself, it allows me to connect with other people.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you guys, man.
All right. Till next time.
Till next time.
Check it out.